Hi guys, Donna here, and today I am here with Sarah Martucci. Sarah Martucci, in all honesty, she's been my friend for, I guess, about 5 years now, maybe six,
Yeah.
somewhere in
Yeah.
there. Does, time flies. She is a medium, tarot reader, certified crystal healer, jewelry maker, and all about fabulous human being. Her jewelry, she made these and she made my bracelet. And she's just an outstanding person, and she does Messages of Hope. Right now she's away from that, but she has this thing, a series on Facebook called Messages of Hope. That is an outstanding thing, and I do recommend you following her and checking her out, and I will have all that information at the end of the podcast. But without further ado, let me introduce you to Miss Sarah Martucci, and you tell us about yourself. I know you can reiterate what I said, but go for it.
Hi, you guys. Yes, my name is Sarah Martucci. I'm a psychic medium, certified crystal healer, paranormal investigator, believer in the weird and occult. Don't come at me with what the weather is. I don't give a fuck. Talk to me about something real and true. That's what I want. Yeah, man. I'm also a mom to a 2-year-old. Just life is crazy, but it's good. I love what I do. This is the work that I love to do, and it's been a fuck of a journey to get here. Also, too, if you don't like cussing, I might not be your person, and that's okay. I can't seem to not speak without cussing, so there's that.
If they don't like cussing, it's okay because the podcast has a warning that says explicit. And trust me, my first episode had cussing in it, and I'm sure the following episode, the more episodes will have cussing. So that's who I
Very good.
am, and that's who you are, and say
Very
hallelujah.
good. Say la vie. Here's life. So yeah, it's been a hell of a journey to get here, but I'm glad to be here. It's been nuts, but oh my God, every single step has been worth it. I'm glad to be here doing the Messages of Hope. I do a free weekly reading on Mondays where I talk about like the astro of the week, just kind of getting us in sync, in tune with the moon, and also like the season that we're in. So, like right now, we're in Aries season. We're about to have a full moon on the 28th in the sign of Libra. So, there's these huge themes right now around me versus we. So, kind of our relationships right now are on blast. Maybe they're in the spotlight. We're trying to figure out our individual place within these relationships and what does that mean? How do I complete this? Or does another person complete me? Is that codependency? Is that independence? What do you want from your relationships? So there's a lot on the table right now. But yeah, on Mondays, I talk about that. Usually on Saturdays, I come through with the Messages of Hope. Throughout the week, I'll sprinkle through memes that are absolutely ridiculous, but hopefully they make you laugh and teach you something. Sacrilegious as fuck. A lot of cussing. You know what you're getting into, I think, at this point. So, but yeah, on Saturdays I do the Messages of Hope, and that's really where I love to be. It's a Facebook Live event. I think I'm gonna actually change it over to YouTube soon, but at least in the meantime, it's on Facebook. Anybody that shows up there, I call on spirit. I pull through tarot cards. I pull through loved ones, whatever feels right in the moment, wherever spirit directs me. So it's one of those places I just love to be. It came about because of COVID. So, and I was like, I got to be able to do something. This is fucking awful. Nobody's doing good. What the fuck can we do? So I decided to step up, get over my fear of Facebook Live and speaking out and being seen, I guess, if you will. And just push through my fear, and it's turned into something really beautiful. I've read for people in France, Canada, Africa, fucking Norway. Um, it's literally been all over the map. It's been in this incredible tool where I've been able to reach people, give them free messages of hope around whatever the fuck's going on, and just remind them that it's going to be okay. We got this. We're going to do this, and this is our pathway through. So, because that's what works for me. That's what we're not this fluffy, like, here's to hoping and love and light. Let's hope it comes in. No, what's the real world action I can take in order to manifest what I want here? First, it starts with me internally and dealing with all of this stuff. And then I'm able to turn my attention to what actions I need to take in order to get there. So, yeah, also, too, if you want to come to me, I'm your fifth psychic or medium around if your boyfriend's going to come back, miss me with all that. Miss me with all of it. Come to me if you really want to face your stuff. If you really want to face yourself. If you really want to find a pathway through. to where you're trying to get to. If you feel stuck or you just need validation or you need backup in some way or you want to talk to your loved one and work through your grief process, I'm fucking here for that. But let's get real, let's get deep. So it's not to say people out there that have love relationships, it's not real or deep. It very much is. But yeah, if I'm the person, if I'm the 10th, psychic you've talked to about this situation, I'm busy.
Well,
I'd rather be here for, or my energy is more directed towards people that really are able to face themselves and they want to go bigger and better.
well, and also the thing about the relationship, I worked a house party once and there was this older lady who was just adamant. I started reading her cards and she's like, I don't want to know about my kids. I don't want to know about my kids. I want to know about this man. Okay. And in the meantime, I'm feeling drained while I'm reading her. It's 10 o'clock at night and I'm just feeling wiped out. And
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, I don't see this man. I said, you know what? Maybe it's just because you're the last person. I'm tired. I'll come back and read you again. So I left and my energy perked right back up. And about 3 weeks later, I think it was 3 to 4 weeks later, I found out that she got pneumonia and she ended up dying. So my point is, and this is why I say this and bring this up, sometimes we want to hear what we think we want to hear, but the universe, our guides, the cards, whatever, tells us what we need to hear. And that's when I always look at that because I gave her a message about her grown kids, their lives. And when you think about it, if she were sick without knowing it, that most likely could have brought her comfort in those last days instead of dealing with.
Too. Yes, and also too connecting with her children before she goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, that's why it's like, when people are like, well, I want to know about this, I always, you do your thing, I do my thing, and I always say, I don't want questions until the end. And I know you do the same thing because it's a matter of, let me tell you what they have for you, and then I'll answer if I haven't covered it already. So I know you do the same thing. I mean, you put it out what you're getting, and that's the thing. We sometimes, when we hear the message, we get all up in our head and we try to start analyzing. We just need to sit and listen and accept it, and then go back and say, okay, that actually does make sense. Because how many times do you have a client in a reading? And I know this is not the topic for the day, but how many times do you have a client in the reading that's like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. And then, 5 weeks later, they're like, you were actually
like
right.
Fucking clockwork. So at this point, I've just trusted if somebody's not receiving or they're not hearing it, I pull my energy back and I say, hey, I totally get it. I want this to be good for you. Usually, like if they're not feeling it, I refund their money. Even if we spent the whole fucking hour together, whatever. Like, I want this to be a good experience for you too. This needs to resonate. But I swear to God, like fucking clockwork, they always come back.
What?
Always do. And they're like, I thought you were crazy. I'm like, I hear that one the most. I thought you were crazy. I'm like, look, y'all, I am crazy. Here's the thing. Is that I'm totally fucking nuts, but the best people are. And that's why I'm able to do what I love to do. Like, because I've got enough insanity to be like, fuck it, let's be a medium. So there's that.
Well, and here the other big caveat in readings is time. I had, I was going back through some readings, one from 2019, from a friend of mine who told me never to mention her name on the internet, so I will not do that.
Fair.
But she told me, she's like, I see you having a loss this summer. This was like March of 2019. She's like, I see you having a loss for this summer. She's like, I don't know. And she's like, it's going to be in June, around June 22nd. But I don't know who it is, and I don't think it's John. Well, John passed June 22nd of 2020.
I told you the same fucking thing. I said I saw a loss, but I didn't think it was John. Like, yeah.
Well, the woman that recently read me told me he died 3 times and that he wasn't ready to go. He was adamant he wasn't ready to go, that it was an accident. So that he was playing Russian roulette basically and thinking he was going to scam the system. But, hey. But that's beside the point. What I guess my whole point is timing's another big thing with readings because people are like, oh my gosh, I need to know when is this going time. You can change it. You can make things shift. And that was the whole point.
An illusion. I loved it.
I mean, yeah, you told and here's the thing. You told me that, you thought he was going to be okay. And the fact of the matter is with timing, and this is why I bring this up, nothing against you because you're a phenomenal reader.
Girl,
but
I get things was wrong, and that's okay. Guess
Well,
what? That's
no,
okay.
no, no. What I'm getting at is John had free will. John made some
Yeah,
choices in his life that led up to his early demise. Had he made different choices, I mean, it's simple as if you make one turn in a different direction, you may
yep,
not meet somebody. I mean,
it's true. It's true.
so, all right. So, now that we've gone off on a tangent, everybody's like, what the heck? Or what
Oh,
the?
get ready for it. You guys, tangent central. Let's this is controlled chaos as well.
I don't
That's
think
who I am.
I've never been diagnosed with ADD, but my boss could never handle that. I would talk to him about something and he'd still be talking about it, and I was on the next thing. So there you go. Anyway, so today we are talking about, and both of us are kind of in. We both had somewhat of a similar experience. Mine was a little bit more forgiving because where I grew up. I grew up in New Orleans. My mom was okay. My grandmother was okay. My dad's side, that's another story. But from you, it was a different thing. And what we're going to discuss is coming out as a psychic medium. So let's discuss this, and then I'll pose the question. So
Okay.
tell me about your experience.
I think well, at least my first time I remember seeing spirit, I was 5 years old. It was terrifying to me because I didn't know something in me, just I think anybody that sees a ghost or that's ever had an encounter like that, intrinsically your body's like, danger, danger, this isn't right. Like, something's not good here. And it just freaked me the fuck out. Again, I was 5. I didn't know. I knew what I saw because it's in my brain, like trauma, like because it just scared me so badly. It was by myself in my room, and a man appeared in front of my bed, at the foot of my bed, and he was wearing like a sideways cap that almost kind of looked like a beanie, but it had extra stuff at the top. He wasn't. He was wearing a shirt, but it was all tattered and fucked up, and he was wearing pants, but it was like pantaloons, and they were all kind of fucked up and tattered too. And he kept trying to talk to me, but every time he talked to me, water was coming out of his mouth. And so I was like, holy fuck, what's going on? So I screamed. I fucking flipped my shit. My parents run in. They're like, what the fuck's wrong? I tell them what I saw. My dad's like, you're having a bad dream. Calm down. So I was like, okay, well, that was the most intense bad dream I've ever had. And look, I'm 5, but I'm not fucking stupid. I know the difference between reality and a dream. Anyways, this continued for a while where like things would happen. Like I would walk out in the hallway, like all of a sudden I would wake up in the middle of the night. I would get this weird feeling. I'm like, I also got to pee, fuck it. And I would talk myself into going to the bathroom. I walk out in the hallway and the rocking chair in our hallway is going, and there's nobody fucking in it. And so I would bring this up to my parents. My mom like, oh, I must have just been rocking your brother and just gotten done. I'm like you were still in the chair? Again, I'm 5, but I'm not fucking stupid. Like, I
Yeah.
know how things work. So it was really difficult. Eventually, and also too, I went to Catholic school. So I'm going around school telling people stuff. I'm telling them I'm seeing ghosts. I'm telling them like, stuff about their futures coming up or things that I feel, or if there's like loved ones around. At one point I told one of my friends that like there was ghosts in my house and I was scared. She told her mom, and I was forced to stand up in front of my 3rd grade class and tell everybody what I said was a lie, because I knew if I said that it was the truth or I kept pushing it, they were going to put me somewhere. I knew it. I knew it. So I made the choice, and I was like, okay, I can't. And I stood up in front of everybody and I told them that it was a lie, and it was horrific, and it fucked with me for a very long time. And it's also, I think too, it was a lifelong kind of thing of trying to keep me quiet, without going into too much of the dynamics of my family. Obviously it wasn't great, but just always there's this overarching theme of trying to keep me quiet, not talking about things or pointing things out. But y'all, who I am and what I'm about, I got to be able to point things out. I have to talk about stuff. Maybe I came here to uncover and talk about things that the family had been covering for so long, or that people weren't acknowledging. So I was shut down for a really long fucking time. I kept trying to pretend like, it wasn't happening. And then kind of fast forward a little bit, I was around 28, 29. My neck gave out on me. So they had to take out 3 of my discs and replace them with titanium plates and screws. It fucking sucked ass. Let's just say that. Like, you can't do anything without your neck, number one. But I was forced to sit down and really face myself during that time. And I had a come to Jesus moment where I was like, I think I'm a fucking medium. I think I'm a fucking psychic. And as much as I keep pushing this off, this keeps coming back up. Because even just looking past, like in my life, people around me never called me a psychic or medium, but there was always that understanding that I had that something. And people would always come to me about spiritual stuff, or would always come talk to me about their loved ones dying, or if weird shit was going down in their house, like paranormal stuff, all the fucking time. So I had to sit down and I had to face myself, and it was ugly, and I was terrified. Because again, my whole life I've been told, shut the fuck up, don't do this. People don't want to hear it, you're scaring them, or you're crazy. So it turned into this whole, I had to get into therapy for a multitude of reasons, but this was one of them. And it was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me, both this neck surgery and that therapy that I went through to kind of work through my trauma from my childhood and work through the things that I had stuffed down for so long that were such an integral part of me that needed to be expressed. So eventually I was like, fuck, I gotta say something to people. I can't just sit on this. So I decided, because Facebook, at the time was the best possible. It's like 2013 or 2014
Yeah.
at the time, I think, was like the best possible avenue to do it. And I just wrote this whole spiel about how, like, this is who I am. And yes, I talk to dead people. And yes, I can see the possibilities with the future. And I can see your past shit and your present situation. I can feel stuff. I see stuff. I experience it in a different way than most people do. And thank you for still loving me. And the
That's awesome.
response was incredible. It was incredible. So much love that was sent my way, and work. And just, it opened up worlds for me. Now, on the other end of that, before I came out on Facebook, I tried to tell my family. And my father told me that the devil speaks through me. So that was another thing I had to come to terms with. And might I say this to anybody that's ever had to deal with that, maybe somebody that is a psychic medium and they've been told that the devil speaks through you, or that the work that you do is the devil's work. Can I just say this? A couple things. First, I don't think that I'm so important that the king of hell chose me to talk through. Number two, I kind of feel like he's losing his game if he also chose me to work through. So just saying, I don't feel like my message and the things that I'm saying and what I'm about are on the same vibration as his. So just putting that out in the universe, why would I don't think I'm so important if that's even a thing. And also too, why? He's losing his fucking touch. He's not doing so great then if I'm the one he chose. So anyways, having to deal with that. My mother was always actually pretty supportive of it. My mother's always, I think my mother has gifts and abilities. I know my brothers and sisters do. But I think also, I think it scared my dad, let's be honest, because he didn't understand it. He doesn't know what's going on. He's listening to the Catholic Church and what they have to say about it, instead of just sitting with me in my experience and listening to what I had to say and being with me. So, but again, I understand it. And I understand why they said what they said when I was little. How do you explain to a child when you don't even know yourself and your own gifts and abilities, and you're not even facing that about yourself? How can you turn around and help another? You can't. So it was a vital lesson for me in my life to know myself, know what I'm about. And the biggest gift that I think that I give at this point is being able to turn around and help other people to know that this is okay, this is normal, chaos and fuckery, this is what it feels like, let's work with this, and that we've got this. This is really fucking important. Also, too, I love helping people understand where their gifts and abilities lie, so that you have a better understanding or clarity around maybe where you want to go with this and what you want to do. There's a million different things we can do with this. Not all of us have to be on platform or on the stage delivering messages. It doesn't have to be like that. So for me, once I told, my family that, once I got on Facebook and put it out there, I did lose family and I did lose friends. Let me be clear with that. I did lose people, and that fucked with me so bad. My moon's in Cancer, so family is fucking everything to me. And I will try more than a normal person to make things work with people I consider my family, just because I don't want to let you go. I love you. I chose you, right? Well, in this instance, I didn't really, but at least at this point in my life. So letting those people go, and it was really hard, and it fucked with me bad. And I thought maybe I made a bad choice for a second, but then I thought on the other side of it, all this the tsunami of love that came my way after I spoke my truth was unfucking believable. It was amazing, and it gave me confidence to keep going with the work that I'm doing. So I think once I reframed it around these people that are leaving, they're making space for me to bring in people that truly see me, that truly want to be around me, that want to take part in this, or maybe they're trying to find their way too. So once I reframed it in that way, it was a lot easier for me, but it was not easy. It was really difficult. And of course, I'm glossing over years of fuckery and chaos, but for the most part, like, my trajectory here was stifled and told that I was crazy. And it's been a journey to trust myself. And if you notice, if you join me with the messages of hope, I'll teach you guys every single week. I do it every single time, how to trust yourself and where you're feeling your intuition coming in and knowing that your truth is right. So it's learning to tune back in instead of listening to other people, obviously what I've been through, tuning back in and helping yourself trust what's coming in here. I'll know that my work is done in this world, hopefully, maybe possibly, when I people don't need to come to me for readings anymore. Which sounds counterintuitive, right? Where you're like, Sarah, don't you want to
No.
work forever? Of course I do. But when that starts to trickle off, when people start to trust themselves, then I know I've made an impact here in the world and I've done something good.
Well, and then
Yeah.
your journey can switch. And I want to say, I'm a firm believer in our past teaches us lessons to help move forward. And your experience as a child will help you with your son if he starts
Funny
seeing
you
things.
say that because he's 2 and he's already experiencing things.
Okay.
And because I faced myself, because I've done the work to be here, I'm trying not to get emotional, but it's really important to me. Because I've faced myself, because I've trusted myself and I've done the work, I've showed up for me. I'm able to show up for my son and let him know the difference between what a transient spirit is and what family is coming through. And it's giving him confidence. So when something shows up, I know his signs, his markers, and he communicates with me. And he's just like, I'll ask him, like, are you unsure? And he'll shake his head, yes. And I'll feel into it. I'll be like, hey, this is your Papa Jim, your great Papa Jim. He's just coming by to say hi. And then all of a sudden, he's nice and relaxed and he smiles and he waves and says hi. Like, it's insane. So for me, it's this beautiful moment where I get to let my kid be free. He doesn't have to, he doesn't have to stifle anything. He gets to be who he is. And it's also a moment that came full circle for me and how proud of myself I am that I did this work and I stepped up and I said yes. So my baby can be free to be himself and not feel as though he can't live this world out loud, because that's really important for all of us, no matter what our calling is, you know?
Well, and I think that's, compared to when I started doing this stuff, we have more openness about this stuff,
Yes.
and it's more
Oh, wait,
acceptable. We don't have the mockery, and I'm no offense to this, but we don't have the mockery of call me now for your free reading. We don't have that
yeah,
that whole feeling. I mean, there's still weirdness about it. There's some people that are still.
absolutely.
I had
Absolutely. Oof.
I mean, I had a woman who came to a psychic fair. She commented on my Facebook post, and one of her family members came in and started saying, "That's the devil. Leave it alone." Once again, you know, the devil's not. He's not going to sit here and.
Again, I think he's losing his touch if he's choosing me. Because I'm talking a lot of love here, y'all. Like, I'm having a hard time believing that Lucifer, an angel, and a fallen one at that, who's like hell bent on evil shit, he's ruling a cave downstairs or whatever the fuck the story is. Like, with a lot of fire and brimstone, there's a lot going on. I feel like he's a busy man
Well,
or a busy angel. And like, why, if I'm talking love, why are you choosing me? I'm gonna be the last person you fucking choose. I don't have time or patience for that. And please stop projecting your fear around what you believe to be true and not on me.
well, that's a lot. I got into a podcast discussion with somebody recently, as a guest, about the fact that a lot of organized religion, and I'm not against. I mean, if that's your faith, go for it. What you believe is what you believe. I'm not. So don't get pissed off at me and start sending me nasty emails. That's your faith, and I'm not knocking it. All I'm saying is it's a lot to do with fear. And fear is a very
And
powerful
shame
motivator. Yes,
and
fear and
guilt
shame.
and
Yes.
guilt.
I mean, I went to Catholic high school, and I have my one of my friends is always like, "Well, Dawn, you have a lot of Catholic guilt. You have a lot of Catholic guilt." And it's like, but I'm not Catholic. I just went to Catholic high school. My grandmother was Catholic. She said the rosary every night. Organized religion was not a huge part of my life. I went to schools, Lutheran school, whatever. So that's where I learned religion. But we never were churchgoers.
Oh
And
God.
as I gotten older, I've had a friend that took a comparative religion class, and she's like, "Do you know there was books in the Bible written by women and they were removed?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't, because at the time I didn't." And I mean, it's just, you know, it's the same book, and allegedly it's been the same book all these years. And why were those books removed? Why do we have a King James translation? And but we're gonna sit there and make these rules about it and saying you can't do this, but I'm gonna eat shrimp and wear polyester. Okay, well that's you're not supposed to be doing that. Just
You're not
saying.
supposed to be doing any of it. And
No.
like, look, I don't have any problem with organized religion too, but I also grew up in it and I know what the fuck it's about. So when you try to come at me and tell me like what it is, what it actually is, like, please miss me with that because from kindergarten, from age born
Mhm.
until I
Mhm.
was in my early 20s, I was constantly going to church every Sunday, every Wednesday. I was constantly enmeshed in Catholicism. So I'm not out for the religion. If anything, the beautiful things I took away from it were my connection with Mother Mary and the connection with the angels, who I work with all the
Yeah.
work that I do. So again, I find it kind of weird when they're like, the devil's talking through you. I'm like, well, actually, I called on Mother Mary before I did this reading. So it's not the devil that you're hearing when I talk about love and loving another person or love for yourself. But, okay, whatever you want to hear, what other people think and what their opinions are and what they feel about stuff is their business. And so
Exactly.
I'm not here to change anybody's mind. All I know is my experience, and here's my story. If you don't like it, that's not my problem.
Right. Right, exactly. And don't come at me because of my beliefs because I'm honoring your beliefs. I'm not coming at you for your beliefs. So don't come
Right.
at me for mine. It's
Yeah.
that simple.
But to say that it wasn't used as a tool against me is absolutely incorrect. It was. It absolutely was. Now, were my parents doing the best they could with what they had at the time? Absolutely. I truly believe those two things can exist. They're not mutually exclusive. So it just also reinforces for me, again, what's important around knowing myself, showing up for myself so I can show up for the next generation, both in the work that I do and with my son and my own family I'm creating. And then also, too, knowing and trusting that I'm not about that shit. I'm not here for that crap. I don't have time for Lucifer either. I just ain't nobody got time. Like I'm
Oh,
busy. I'm a busy bitch. Like
what-
I got too
and,
many things going on. I'd rather drink a milkshake and talk shit about Supernatural season 52 than I would deal with that asshole. So just saying,
and
but
if you want to talk about Lucifer, let's go talk about Tom Ellis from Lucifer on Netflix. We can talk about him. Um,
it would be a much different convo. But yes,
yes. Now, if he wants to talk through, I'm sure you'd be okay with that one.
right. But yeah, it's been a crazy journey. I wouldn't give it up for anything though. And if anything too, I think also I've noticed as the more I've been out loud and doing this professionally for about 8 years now. So like this has also been really good for me to kind of show other people, hey, no matter what the fuck that you're doing, watch me. You guys, if you knew me before this, like before my neck surgery and me moving into this, even as I was going through the healing process, I think that you'd be like, Sarah, you're a totally different fucking person. Like I physically look different just because of the work that I've done and trusting myself and loving myself coming back to me. So I think it's also a good example to others that look, if I can do this, you can do this too. No matter what your calling is, step outside, say yes to yourself, embody it and live it. Be brave. Or I think maybe what I've been doing, especially with my relationships lately, and we were kind of talking about this, like who are my people, who's my close inner circle? Can you be brave with me? Can you be vulnerable with me? Even if we don't see eye to eye, even if we're not on the same level, or maybe we see different things, like, can you still be brave and be vulnerable with me? That's what I require. That's what I need. I need people who are willing to go deeper and aren't afraid to see themselves and to fix their shit and to face themselves and to say no to me and to challenge me in that way too. You guys, I think for a lot of us, there's a trauma response when we go to say, I don't need anybody, I can handle this all myself. It's not like I haven't done that. I've done that most of my life. And so there's also a recognition that we need relationships, that it's a good thing to have relationships and depend upon other people. You need to have good discernment around what it is that you want, clarity around your directives and where you're going with your life, and what you need to be surrounded by. That's all you need. You got this. People can disagree with you. You need people to tell you no and to challenge you, but in a good way. So I think, especially when we were talking about the relationships, and at least the beginning of this with the Aries and the Libra, Libra full moon coming up, don't be afraid to challenge yourself around your circle right now. Who is around you? Who are the people closest to you? I feel like a lot of people are going through this. Can they be brave? Can they be vulnerable with you?
Well,
That should always be a part of it, I think.
I mean, the interesting thing right now, like you said, Libra full moon. So I'm going to have fun most likely because I'm a Libra, so I'm sure this full moon
Hell
will
yeah.
knock my ass. But you said something about energy, and there's a picture I took, I guess about 2 weeks after John died last year, and I had sent it to the friend who will not be mentioned, and she told me, she's like, when I look at that picture, I see John. I see John on you. And you and her both always constantly said John was running my energy. He was always in my energy. And I mean, we were very connected. And
Yeah.
she's like, I look at you now and I see the difference. There's a difference in your face. There's a different, and it's not just because I lost weight. It's the whole way you carry yourself, the way
Yeah.
you present yourself. So, you know, you have to, as much as I love my husband, when you're dealing with your relationships, you have to make sure you have clear boundaries. And granted, it is an awesome feeling to be that connected to someone, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, but
Yeah.
also know that you have to continue to own yourself. For me right now,
Yep.
I'm trying to learn who I am again,
Mhm.
and it's a tough call. So, I mean, what I guess I'm trying to say is,
But it's a
em-
liberating one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
But fuck
I
you,
miss
Sarah.
miss him. I
Yeah.
miss him. I do miss him, but it's like it's
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point where it's like, yeah, I'm owning myself again. I'm in a closet. Nobody can see it, but I realize that now that I've hung up all my clothes, I have an efficient or a thing for tank tops. I have more tank tops than I ever realized I fucking had. I'm like, what the hell is this? I got beefy arms. Why the hell do I have so many tank tops? But I got tank tops. It's like I realize I have all these clothes, and it's like I used to just wear like one pair of clothes. I had one pair of shoes. Now I have like 10 pair of shoes.
It's awesome.
So it's an experience of growing,
You're
and
starting to learn who you are again. You're getting back
yeah,
into your story, which is the
yeah.
greatest one you will ever fucking know. The end, period. The
Well,
end, period.
that's the thing though, and as a reader, and it goes back to, it does actually segue back into the journey here, because you at a younger age couldn't own yourself. You couldn't own that voice. You couldn't own that you were you. And the same thing was for me. When I got with John, he was like, oh, well, how do you know? And this man, and this man
Yeah.
was just psychic as all get out, but yet he denied it himself. And when you're denying that gift, and this is kind of a message for everybody else, when you're denying that gift, it shows up in other ways, and it'll start affecting your health. It'll start taking you down. So you need to embrace it. It's just like, if I don't write as a writer, if I don't get that creative writing out, it starts messing with me. I have to have my creative energy taken care of, as
Yep.
well as my regular. There's a balance, and if you don't embrace what you got, you know, it's not a good thing.
I have a whole series that I'm working on talking about exactly that. The three places, and now I've got no way to prove this, but the three places of intuition that I believe we all receive or have in our body. And when we're not paying attention, the physical ailments that we have there, or what our intuition is trying to tell us, how to get back to good and how to tune into that space. Fuck yes, it affects your health. Fuck
Yeah,
yes. And this could be not even just about your psychic gifts and abilities, but anything you're trying to repress. It will
yeah,
fuck you up. You have to speak on these things. This is important. This is important. This is important work. The more that we know our own story, the more we know ourselves, the more we turn within and we take care of this space here, this meat suit, the one meat suit we got for this joyride right now. Like, the more we tune into that and we take care of this space, the more that we fucking flourish. The end. Show me another instance where locking shit down is helpful, because I haven't found one yet. But please, I challenge anyone, help me. Show me that if you know of an instance. But for me, at least in my experience of what I've seen, it's important to speak on things. It's important to talk about them, to know yourself, to have clarity around who you are and what you want. So, number one, you make the best choices for your life and for yourself. Number two, you know exactly where the fuck you're going, for the most part, at least. At least we got a general direction. And three, you're able to have relationships that are meaningful and deep and good and connected. Because the more vulnerable you are with yourself, the more vulnerable you can be with other people.
and
Show me the fucking lie.
I'm not.
There's,
I'm not going to show you the
I
fucking
know.
lie because I listen to my dad. Okay, my dad's a prime example. My dad was not there to listen to anybody. He was always right. He's a Scorpio.
That
He
must be
was
nice.
he was always right. You could not argue with him. He would, if him and I the last time back in 2009, I brought up a subject about my mother, and John watched us, and I reverted back to a 9-year-old. My whole demeanor changed, everything. And he was all boisterous. Well, my dad, the man who never listened, guess what? He can't hear now. He can't hear. He's got
Shocker.
he's got tinnitus so bad. He's got ringing
Oh,
in his ear that he
mm,
can't. He's miserable. So he's now trapped where he would put his customers first and his friends first instead of his family. Now he's trapped in a prison. His friends don't come around. His family, well, I'm up here. He's down there. And as my stepmother told me this week, he's even angrier than he was before. Oh,
well,
treat, joy, let me go. No,
I'm
I
not
do.
going into that. I'm not going into why would I put myself in that position to be
Right,
around somebody that still can't and refuses? Like it's not doesn't mean that you don't love him. It doesn't mean you don't care about him.
right.
You don't want him to be in pain for fuck's sake. But there's
No,
only so much you can do for somebody if they're putting up a brick wall and not letting you in. And guys, when I'm talking about these relationships and the people you're bringing close to your inner circle, I'm talking about love relationships. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about family. I'm talking about people that are close to you. This doesn't just have to be about romantic relationships. This should be from everybody around you. Demand more. But mostly demand more from yourself. Have the
right.
courage.
I mean, for him, it was always party, good time Charlie. He liked to go out and party, and that was
Fuck
him.
yeah.
He will never wanted to face things. So I guess my point here is you need to be able to look at things, and repressing them is not going to help. Escaping into a substance is not going to help. You need
Nope.
to face your traumas, face your abuse. I mean, we were talking earlier, I was discussing with my therapist. Yes, I have a therapist. That does not mean I'm crazy. I have a therapist to keep me
That is
my mental
hot girl
hygiene.
shit. That is hot girl shit.
Yeah.
It's the time to have a therapist. Hot girl and hot guy shit. Get a
Well,
therapist.
this is what I said, in the prior podcast is it's ironic that when my parents split, my mother made sure I had a therapist and then I got into therapy. Yet she's really the one that needed a therapist and never got it. And we know she ended up dying. But when you look at these things, it's like you need to take care of yourself. You need to keep focusing. You need to make sure that you're taking care of you. Because as we discussed earlier, if you're not taking care of you, who is? You can't take care of your son. You
Bury the
can't.
soul.
There was somebody posed a question to me this week, and it kind of took me off. But I digress. Yes, I'm all over the place right now because I
Bring
had
it.
three things going in. The reason I brought up the therapist thing though was because we were talking, and she said, "Well, that was abuse, something that my mother had done," and I'm like, "Well, you don't recognize abuse when you're living with it," and by that fact, we take that abuse and we tap it down and we put it down and we keep ignoring it. I never had an anxiety issue until I had this one job. And then my anxiety started peaking, and I have anxiety now. It's like I was in the fucking crowd at Live Aid during Led Zeppelin. I was not standing on my own feet. I didn't have a panic attack.
Mhm.
But now I can have a panic attack for no effing reason if pushed.
Oh no, there's a reason. You're
But
just maybe not fully aware of the trigger at the moment. But yeah,
right.
yes.
But what I'm getting at is because I tamped it down, it took so
Yep.
long for it to come back. The question I was going to bring up, that was the next thing. Somebody posed a question to me this week, and they're like, "So who do you consider family?" And it's a really intriguing question for me now because it goes back to your journey and who you're living your life for.
Yep.
And I sat there and I'm like, "Well, John was my family.
He'll
I know who my
always be
blood
your family.
Well, yeah, I know. I know who my blood family is, and I know who my friends are, and I consider some of my friends like family. But it's a very weird feeling because the term family doesn't necessarily apply now. So I truly have to live my life
Hmm.
for me. That's where
Yes.
I'm going with it. Step up. Go ahead.
And I love that. I love that you're living your life for you. That's important. Even if we're in relationships right now, which all of us are, you still have to live your life for you. You've got to make decisions based on the outcomes of things, good or bad, and how that affects you. So I hear that. But I think too, also for us, family wasn't and hasn't been a good healing or a
No.
happy thing. So when we say family, we're like, do you also mean enemies?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't. I think it's the reworking of what family actually is. And for us to know we get to pick now. That's the
Right.
joy. That's the liberation from it all, is choosing myself and what's best for me also gave me the choice to choose who's around me. So for me, again, I'm going to reiterate, you be brave? Can you be vulnerable with me? Can you stand with me in this moment, even if it's awkward or uncomfortable? Are you willing to work on your shit? Am I willing to hear what you have to fucking say? Is this actually really an even exchange? Is there actual balanced give and take? So I think, because it's all too easy for me to, because it was another way I was kind of raised, was like, you just give all you got. Yeah, without thought for yourself and your energy. And so you're constantly showing up for other people and constantly showing up for other people. And then when you turn around, everybody's full and they're happy and they're living their best life, but then you're fucking left with nothing, nothing. And it's like, oh my God, I forgot to take care of myself first. So it becomes this important thing where you start to take care of yourself first. And then I'm going to parse out my energy to who needs it and who also is giving me, there's an even exchange here in the relationship. Love, friendship, family, the fucking meeting a cute dog on the street, an even exchange. So I at least the people around me, at least the ones around me know me and they love me and they know my intensity. Can I also say that was another huge part of my journey, is understanding that I'm an intense person and being okay with that. Because I've always heard also too growing up that like you're too much or you're too emotional or you're too whatever the flavor of the moment is, that what I was doing was triggering somebody into facing their shit and they didn't want to. They don't want to talk about their stuff or face themselves. And so I was too much. I was the issue here. And it's like, okay, so I know if I ever get that, if people put up a hand and they're like, you're too much, I'm like, okay, that's all right. You know what? I still love you, but maybe you're not my person and you're not supposed to be this close to me. So again, coming to terms with who you are and what you're about is going to help you to decide for yourself who gets to be around you, who's your chosen people to support you and love you and push you forward. Make better choices, but may it start with you and your relationship first. Fuck yeah,
Well,
Donna.
and that's the thing, if I look back to my best friend when I was in my early 20s, when I was looking at her, I had a friend, a mutual friend of ours, tell me she's not who she appears to be, and I'm like, oh no, you're wrong. You're so wrong. She's just wonderful. After a certain point, I used to make this statement about my best friend. She's my best friend, but she's a two-faced bitch. Now, now,
Whew.
what problem? Firstly, can we say doormat must have been written on me for knowing that and still allowing that to be a friend? But now I don't foresee, when you're talking about somebody triggered. I had a friend not too long ago. She's like, when you answer the phone, you sound like my mother, so you trigger me. Guess what? We're not friends anymore. But
Well, see, I would have been like, hey, let's talk about this. Why do you think that triggers you? And but look, you were doing the best you could with what you had at the time, and there's probably pent up bullshit where that was the last fucking straw. So I get you. I
yeah,
get you.
that's why. I mean, that was like the start of the downfall of the friendship, and it wasn't because it's a whole nother story. But anyway,
But I would say too, what is she triggering for you? And I think for you too, calling you saying you sound like her mother, I think that would fuck your shit up too. And be like, what
yeah,
the fuck? Like that's just knowing what that history is there, the history with your own mother. And it's like, what the fuck? So notice too that whenever people do tell you things like you're too, like for me, like you're too much, or you need to calm down, or whatever the fuck, whenever I know that I'm being right, when I know I'm right in this moment, especially when I'm directing something that's important and they're telling me I'm too much or whatever, like I also am thankful for that too, because I'm like, you know what? You're showing me where this pain still is that I need to face or that I need to release and trust and know in myself again. And the more I know about my story, the less horrific that is when you get those rejections and those no's, or the issues and the conflict. And I think too, it also makes you work with the person too, that like if you genuinely care about them and you genuinely care about this relationship, communication is key. So how do we sit down and really talk things out if it's still possible? So yeah, I think funny enough, even though this was supposed to be about me talking about my mediumship and stuff, these relationship themes are so important, but it's also been a massive part of my journey too. Because through my relationships with other people, I also have understood more deeply who I am as well. And so I'm thankful to them. I'm thankful to my parents. I'm thankful to the people that left me. I'm thankful to the people that are around me now. I'm thankful for all of it. My God, what gifts and blessings that they've given me that I've gotten to know. And because I said yes, and I've done the work, but they've given me the gift of getting to know myself on a deeper level and what it is that I want and what I came here to do. My God, thank you. Thank you for the good and for the bad. Thank you for everything else in between. I'm going to take it, I'm going to run with it and watch this bitch glow up.
But the thing about, yeah, we did digress to talking about relationships, but the fact is that's really what affects you coming out.
Mhm.
And
Yes, it did.
yeah, in my early 50s, because I don't really want to say how old I am, I've actually now been able to step back and look at my mom and my dad and go, all right, look at their parents. Because the one thing we think, we put our parents, I don't want to say on a pedestal. At a certain point they were, but
Yes.
then they get knocked down. But it's not just, you have to look at your parents, and then you have to take another step back and look at your grandparents. And you have to realize that your grandparents weren't necessarily the people you knew. They
Nope.
were different. They were totally different to your parents.
There's that.
So, you
Yep.
know, I, a prime example is my grandmother, my dad's mom. My dad's mom she would give you anything she wanted. She had the cookie jar with every type of cookie you could want. She had soda. She had everything, anything a kid could want. After my grandmother came up here after Katrina, she's telling John how she used to take castor oil before she would go out to the bar at night and drink them in under the table. Oh, okay. And
I
how
like
she
your
used
grandma. I kind of like her.
and she used to smoke all the time. And my grandfather was a boxer, and she told him, "You're getting a different job because I don't want some punch drunk fool with me." Okay. But that being said, I look at my dad, who my dad never drank until after my parents split, except on occasion. And then he was like party animal. So I have to look at what lessons he learned. It's the same thing with, I remember being, after my parents split, my dad getting a girlfriend and moving in. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm paying attention to this. And this is a point that some people should look at, because what you're doing with your kids, they're watching. And
Yeah.
that's not the, so so then my mom, when I was in high school, my mom meets somebody and she moves in. And I'm like, all right, all bets are off. This is it. They cannot fucking tell me I cannot live with somebody now, because if they try, I'm just gonna go, excuse me, look what you did. So trust me.
Yep.
So my whole point is, you there has to come a certain point in your healing and in your growth that you have to look at your parents and you have to look at your grandparents, and you have to realize that they're a product of their upbringing just like you were. And maybe you've had some crappy trauma, but what was their trauma? Go ahead.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's really important to know. And if you're lucky enough to know your family history, that's everything, because I do think it gives you a key. Here's this, though, too. Can I say you can absolutely understand their story? You can absolutely see where they're coming from, why they did the things that they did. It helps to truly understand, but it didn't. Free will never stopped the entire time. And so they were still choosing this. Now, from the best place they could at the time, absolutely again. But here's the thing, that when trauma happens to us and we go to forgive, we still, the people where the trauma, where it happened to, we still have to live with that trauma and to heal through that and to work through it. So you need to make a decision at some point. Is this person still safe to be around? Is this person able to be brave and vulnerable with me and sit here and heal? And if they can't, if they refuse, if they won't, there also needs to be a choice that needs to be made. So uh, for some of us too, just because you understand what happened to you doesn't make it okay, nor do you have to be around those people anymore. I know that you aren't saying that, but I feel like that needs to be said just in
I
case
agree.
people understand. You know,
I,
so yeah, know the story, know all of it, know where you came from, know your fucking ancestry, Know what's been passed down to you and vow to yourself, if you are on that journey and knowing yourself, to not repeat the same mistakes. I'm not talking about swinging the pendulum the other direction.
No.
I'm talking about finding balance and knowing who you are and having clarity around what it is that you want and making it so. Because I can tell you what, too, a lot of this trauma that's been passed down from our families and the stuff that's been put in our laps is because a lot of people weren't living their best life, or they weren't living their truth. And so a lot of us that are doing that now, we're sent to our families, if you will, or maybe we chose to come down here, whatever the fuck you believe, we're here and we're breaking a fucking cycle.
Well, and what I was going to say is back to my grandmother. So while she was a little party lady there, she had been married before my grandfather, and she had gotten pregnant, and the marriage ended. Her dad, besides when she was younger, used to beat her with a switch, which is a big stick. He
Yes,
tried. Oh, I know, but in case some of our listeners, he pushed her down a flight of stairs while she was pregnant with my aunt to try to kill the baby because she was single. So, do I understand some of her trauma? Yeah, I do. I get it. So,
yeah, yep.
I mean, I think that we need to make sure that we try to heal ourselves. And for me personally, going back to family, my dad's in New Orleans, and you can think I'm a stone cold bitch because I'm not going to go down there. But I'm not putting myself in the trauma anymore. I'm not going to sit there. He can't communicate with me. And when my sister died, his response was, she was my half sister, but still she was my sister. His response was, well, that closes that chapter. I don't fucking care if it closes the chapter or not. That was your flesh and fucking blood. And if that's how glibly you can make a statement, then so be it. What do you think about me? And I know he loves me. I get that. And I've been dealing with that since I was a kid. But you know, he loves you in his own way. What the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? But you've had, I mean, we've all had our own little.
Here's what that means. It means that some people can love with a fucking infinity pool, like you and I, or some people only have a thimble. Now, in between, sizes in between, 2 thumbs up, every single size imaginable. But there's some of us that have an overabundance, and some of us that are barely holding on to our drop. So I think whenever somebody says they loved you the best that they can, I believe that. I believe my parents loved me to the best of their ability. Love will never be our problem. It's everything else that happened. So I think the same thing is true for you and your dad, where it's like, love isn't our issue. I know you love me. I love you. It's all this other bullshit we got to deal with that you don't want to face. And not only is that okay, but it's also pushing me to be independent and to know myself and to tune back into my story. Thank you for that rejection, because it turned me back onto me, or it helped me to recognize and take care of this space. May any rejection that we ever get from any partner we have in any type of relationship always get you to take care of yourself, or come back home to you. Come back home to you. And what you were hoping that other person could do for you, stop for a second and do it for your fucking self. Do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. And then show back up again.
Well,
And the people that are able to show up for themselves will show up for you too. And then you'll start to have really good fucking relationships, but this is going to take a while. And especially if you've been steeped in a situation for eons and nothing has changed, and all of a sudden now you're making a choice and you're trying to do better and go bigger, hold tight. This will all be worth it. Just continue to go back into yourself. Love yourself. Focus on you. Heal here. Take care of this. Do your self care. Love yourself in the way that you're so desperate to get from other people, and love yourself more than your fear of being alone.
and that's one thing. When I was younger, I had that big fear. But I have to say, you know, making choices. When I was in high school, so 16, 17 years old, my grandmother, my mom's mom, got married young to an older man, and they had my mom. And then, but that was the thing back then. And then my mom got married to my dad. She dropped out of high school, and she got married to my dad, and then I came along. I was a year after they got married. Not that that matters, but my point is, so when I'm in high school, I'm sitting there looking at these two. These are my examples. This is my closest example. And I'm thinking to myself, fuck that. I'm not going to get married for a while. I'm not going to go run and fall in love. That being said, I was also terrified as hell of being alone. And why, you know, I think the biggest trauma that most of us experience growing up that have these issues of feeling alone is that we either had to parent our parents, we were we felt abandoned because we didn't get the love that we felt we needed. And here's the important lesson now that I'm learning is you have to manage your expectations. People are not going to react or act the way you want them to. So in order to not get depressed or be knocked down if something fails, you have to be able to manage your expectations. Because once
Absolutely.
you learn how to manage your expectations, you're kind of keeping yourself in balance.
Well, also too, knowing the person that you're talking to and expecting stuff from, are they actually able to reciprocate what you're bringing to the table? There needs to be that understanding too, and not this fantasy around like what it is that you want again. So not only knowing yourself, but being real about who you are, what you're about, and the people around you and what they're capable of. Yeah.
And that's important too because somebody I was dealing with last year, they blew smoke way up my ass and told me all sorts of things that would make you go, "Oh yes, okay, I believe," and then basically didn't do a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So my whole, so that ended up sending me down a spiral because it's like, okay, so now I have to pick up all the pieces. I was believing in you and hoping you were going to do this, and you basically said fuck you and took money. But if I had managed my expectations better and really didn't listen to her and say, okay, here you go, I wouldn't have been in such a position. So manage your expectations. I don't care if it's a work relationship, I don't care if it's a family or friend, whatever. You need to manage your expectations because we're all human. We're all human. And in today's society, with all the electronics and all the media and everything, I think we lose perspective of our friends. We don't necessarily reach out as often as we could because we don't want to bother because everybody is so saturated with things. So manage your expectations. If somebody doesn't follow, respond back to you, oh well. If you want to talk to them, then give them a second chance. And if they ghosted you and you really are done, just say fuck you and goodbye.
For those of you listening, we had a conversation before this. That's pretty fucking funny. Yep. Yep.
You know,
Well,
um, and back to the question, and I know, like we said, this digress in talking about relationships, but the whole thing about coming out as a medium or a psychic or even coming out, period, it's about relationships because it's about that reaction that somebody's going to look at you and think less of you or think, you're disgusting because you do this or you're crazy because you do this. You know what? Fuck you. I don't like your hair, but do I tell you you should go cut it? No. I don't like the way you dress. I hate, fuck you. Fuck you. That's all I can say.
well, I love you, Donna. Yeah. Well, I think also too, like, yeah, the reason I held back for so long is because I didn't want to shame my family. I knew that it was going to come back. They were going to flip the fuck out and they're going to be like, oh God, how does this make us look? So it's like, yeah, my relationships, they affect everything. They should. Your
Yeah.
relationships should be that important. But are the people that are around you, are they the right ones for you? Is this the right match? And so making sure that, these people can show up. Or if they can't right now, do they have the capability to? Do they want to? So also I think on top of managing your expectations and as well as taking care of your own needs, when people don't respond, or it doesn't mean you still won't be disappointed. This doesn't mean you still won't be heartbroken, or if things don't work out, or if you thought something and it didn't match up, what that's okay. All those things are okay. But the way that you recoup, the way that you handle it speaks volumes around the work that you've done with yourself. So if the way that you turn around is to start healing yourself and taking care of yourself and showing up for yourself, well fucking done. If you turn around though and you keep demanding another person to show up in a way that they can't or won't or are unable to, or whatever the deal is, and you keep going back to that, you just keep feeling lost. You're missing the mark here, or you're missing an opportunity. You're missing an opportunity. So yes, I know we digress, but I feel like it was very, very apropos for not only the energy that's going on right now and what's happening in everyone's lives, but also my own personal story of coming out about who I am and what I'm about. And I think it's been a beautiful thing to what I said earlier around knowing that I'm an intense person and coming to terms with that and loving myself for that, because that's what makes me good. That's That's the whole thing. That my intensity, my too muchness is what is spirit uses to come through me. For fuck's sake, why would I get rid of that? Why would I dull that for shit? Why would I shut that down for anything? Fuck anybody that tells me to quiet down or take it down a peg or to calm myself. No, you can calm these tits, you fuck right off. Like I'm full blast. I'm full blast. Nobody is going to stop me. So, do you want on this ride? Do you want on this little chaos ride? I promise there's going to be tons of fucking love. You're going to eat really good on this ride, too. I'm going to say that as well. Lots of donuts, lots of donuts. But like, do you want to go on this ride? And if I'm choosing you, you are my chosen family. You are my chosen people that I'm bringing close to me. Do you want that? And if you can't show up, just be honest and truthful. It doesn't mean I won't love you. It doesn't mean I won't love you until the end of time. But it does mean that I reel back my energy, I take care of myself, and I dole it out to those that truly need me or can show up with me in this space. And that's changed everything for me. It changed everything. And it's always through chaos, just because that's how I fucking learn. We're working on that. Working on that. But that's also what I grew up in. And I can unlearn that, right?
Right.
So like a lot of times it's been through blow-ups and relationships or, and friendships and whatever the fuck. But that's where I learned my best stuff. But I don't have to do that anymore. I've done the work. I'm showing up for myself. I love myself.
Well,
And so, yeah, this next journey is going to be about being even louder and brighter than I was before. And if you guys thought I was too much before, you might want to put on some sunglasses because it's going to get bright and obnoxious.
and I was gonna say, I think you're fabulous already. So this is gonna be like mega fab, but mega fab, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But when if you could go back and look at yourself, because you're what, in your 30s now?
Yes.
Okay. So I got, I can look back at my 19-year-old self, 21-year-old self and go, I was so scared. I was terrified. And if I could sit down with myself or even a 20-year-old now, don't let fear of being alone mess with you. Don't get caught up in the outcome of your journey, because you never know where it's going to go. I ended up in a freaking marriage that I shouldn't have been in. That was to a man that was not supportive at all, except financially. But there was no real love. And I mean, I'm not talking he was not a sugar daddy, nothing like that. But when somebody you're involved with looks at you and says, well, your writing's a Barbie doll fantasy, and they've never read a bit of it, which, yeah, my writing's not Barbie doll fantasy. Barbie's got some fucking nasty shit going on, if that's the case. But anyway.
Barbie needs to go to therapy, but we'll work through that. It's fine.
But what I'm getting at is, when you're that young, you are still trying to figure out who the fuck you are. So if he doesn't call you, if he is playing fucking mind games, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Just step back and start working through yourself. Get yourself a therapist. Find somebody to talk to. Write that shit out and embrace your journey. And if you're seeing shit, if you're getting things, write it down so you can start getting your confirmations that you're doing it. You're getting this information, and guess what? This came true. I actually had a dream back in 2016 about a fucking virus. I just realized this. I didn't know this until I'm going through dreams. I had a dream about a virus that was killing people off. I'm like, how the fuck? Anyway, but I didn't take any stock. I just wrote my dream down, which I recommend doing. And then going back, you can look and say, okay, but embrace who you are. And if that means coming out as if it means coming out as gay, if it means coming out as a psychic, if it means coming out as strawberry shortcake, be your fucking self. And
boo. Everybody loves strawberry.
Have you ever
strawberries?
Wait, yep. Have you ever watched Robot Chicken?
Yes. Yep.
Bitch pudding. Pudding.
Beautiful.
Bam.
Perfect.
So basically what we've learned is own your fucking shit.
Own your fucking shit. Tune into your own goddamn story. And if you want to come out and speak on something and be brave about it, just fucking do it. Love yourself more than your fear of not knowing. Love yourself more than your fear of being alone. Love yourself more than your desperate want to be a part of something and to not be by yourself. You got this. You got this. That you are complete in and of yourself, and that you came here with all the tools and everything that you needed in order to make this life happen. Relationships are important. Choose the right ones that choose you back. Choose the relationships that choose you back. And if I
So
could say something to my 20-year-old self, I would tell her to hold on. I would tell her to hold on, that I promise it gets better, and to not give up.
I think that's the biggest lesson most of us would say to ourselves is to hold on and, you know, accept the ride, accept the journey, realize that, it's not always going to be roses. Or as I said the other day, beer and Skittles, which I still don't understand why that even became a set. That's just nasty shit.
Okay.
But so
I'm not
I
here to judge. I'm just here to be your friends.
no, but that just seems like, what kind of beer are we talking? What kind
Yes.
of beer? I mean,
Mm,
anyway, so I guess the answer for you
yeah.
was it was better to come out.
It was better too. If I had to go back and do it 1,000 times, I'd bitch about it, but I'd fucking do it every single time. Every single time I would go back and do it. Every single time. Yes, it was worth it. Not only was it worth it, it's given me the life that at one point I didn't see for myself. So not only am I blessed, but I'm also incredibly loved, and I love myself, and I would give that up for nothing.
And you're a fucking rock
Definitely better
star.
too.
You're a rock
You're
star.
fucking amazing too. I love you.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Before I let you go,
Yes.
tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, all over
Your
the
wedding
internet.
and your jewelry, all over that stuff. Just tell us a little bit where they can find you so they can look you up and hook you up.
Yeah. Of course, of course. Okay, so on Facebook, it's my name, Sarah Martucci, and the number 11 is my Facebook page. On Etsy, if you want to get a reading or get a piece of jewelry from me or work on a customizable piece, because that's where I do my best work. I love working on helping people, tools of intention is what I call them. So a rosary, earrings, a bracelet, yeah, your bracelet you're wearing, pendulums, house cleansing feathers, whatever the fuck you need, I got you. So let's make something personal for you. I love that work. And it's how I use my crystal healing, to do my stuff. Also, all right, shit. Instagram, I'm on Instagram, I'm the official Sarah Martucci. Look me up. And then just my webpage, sarahmartucci.com, are the places that you can find me. I'm trying to get on TikTok. I'm trying to come up with some more stuff. So I've got a lot of things in the work right now. So I've definitely I'm going to be back on my birthday, April 19th. So if you guys are missing me, just hold tight. I promise I'll be back. I'm using this time to reprioritize and get some things out I've just been talking about for years. So hold tight. Big, beautiful things are on the way. And that also includes me. So
And
there's that.
you have such an easy last name. How do you spell Martucci?
Right? M as in Mary, A-R-T as in Tom, U-C-C-I. It's a sexy last name, and I love it.
Yes, it is.
My maiden name was so plain, and I hated it. And now I got this awesome last name. And you're like, goddamn right, I'm Sarah Martucci. So just it suits me. It suits me.
It does. It does. I thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. This is the second time, unfortunately, we had to do this because we had sound problems the first time. So hopefully this is.
Not unfortunately, this was fantastic. So thank you, Donna. Thank you for letting me come on here and ramble and yell and get emotional and be intense and say what my truth is. Thank you for giving me this space to speak. I love you, my friend. Thank
Oh,
you for being brave, and thank you for being vulnerable with me.
well, thank you. And thank you. It means a lot for you to be here, and I'd have you back. So thank you.
Let's do it. Encore version. If people just want to hear us or see us eat donuts and talk shit, I'm here for it. That's hot girl shit. I'm here for it. Let us know. Encore. We'll encore it out.
Yes.
We're
Well,
here for it. So
thank you again.
yes. Thank